better? It's better? Feel a little bit better? Feel a little... You okay? You okay? You eat the pie? A piece of pie? A little piece of pie? No?
No. No.
Sign here. Just initial it. That's right. Okay, now over here. Sign. And here again. Right?
We appreciate this, Ralph. My mother and I want you to know we really appreciate this.
I have office hours during the day, you know.
I think speed is our best weapon, Ralph. In quick, out quick. That's what they taught us in the Army.
An annulment is going to take from 3 to 6 months. If you want a divorce quick, she'll have to go to Santo Domingo.
Santo Domingo? Well, she didn't have much of a vacation in Florida anyway.
I wish you'd have let me discuss settlement. I could have saved you money.
It's settled. It's settled. I gave her everything. All I kept was my savings bonds, $900.
I could have done better for you.
No, Ralph, I want it this way. I'm not looking to come out a winner on this deal. I'm willing to pay for my mistake. Of course, if she's willing to discuss it, I leave that up to you.
The final papers will come through in about 3 weeks.
The sooner the better. I'm heading for the Midwest. I'll send you my address.
What's in the Midwest?
A terrific girl I met on my honeymoon. Don't worry, I'll send you an invitation. Hi, Mr. Cork. Len Cantrell from Florida. I'm here. I don't expect you to let me see your daughter right off, sir, but I just wanted to stop by and let you know that it wasn't some wild story I made up in Florida. I have gotten myself free. Well, I've got to run now because get myself set up. Please, say hello to Mrs. Corcoran for me. And would you please tell Kelly that I've got myself a room at the Norway Motel? Norway Motel. Good afternoon, sir, and I hope I see you again very soon.
Cantrell.
Sir?
You show your face.
Last-minute attempts to convince the House why the charges against the Deputy President should not be upheld and why the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya ought to continue being in office. After the completion of the closing statements by the two sides, we will be having a closed-door session by senators before the honorable members of the Senate consider and vote on the 11 grounds for removal from office. The Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Amason Jeffa Kingi, has already stepped into the chamber this afternoon. Allow me to hand over for this live broadcast brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in partnership with KBC. My name is Gladys Mungai. Enjoy your viewing.
Na tuombe. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, twakusihi tutazame kwa neema nyingi na baraka sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita kwa nyadhifa za uongozi katika jamhuri hii yetu. Tunakuomba utuajalie tuyatende na kufikia mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Clerk, do you have quorum? Honorable Senators, please take your seats. We do have quorum, so we'll straight away go to this afternoon's business. Clerk, you may now call the first order.
Order number 1, communication from the chair. Order number 2, hearing and determination on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, PGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya.
We'll give time to ample time to parties so that they can adequately present their cases. Now, as of yesterday, the Deputy President had been allocated 3 hours. 1 hour was taken away for other businesses of yesterday and today. That is pursuant to a request by Counsel for the Deputy President. And therefore, as we speak, the Deputy President will have 2 hours to present his case, and thereafter the National Assembly will have 1.5 hours, because they've also consumed half an hour of the 2 hours that had been granted to them yesterday. So you had borrowed 10 minutes, you ended up consuming 20 more minutes, as per our record. Council, this is not a matter to debate.
Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to clarify that we had borrowed 10 minutes.
Yes, you borrowed 10 minutes, but you ended up consuming 20 more.
We did get that indication, Mr. Speaker. In fact,
now you're getting the indication.
Yes. We had budgeted our time knowing that we had 1 hour, 50 minutes.
Consume the 1 hour and a half, and then let's see where that takes you, and then we'll be able to engage when you consume the 1.5 hours.
We are most obliged, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. Senior Counsel Paul Mwite, if you're ready, you may usher in your witness.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, just to get clarification, I was under the impression that the National Assembly will proceed and close their case, and that then Counsel for the Deputy President will now present the Deputy President, who is the only one that we are calling as a witness. And that thereafter, the National Assembly will make their closing speech and we will have the opportunity at that time to also make our closing speech. So I would like to have clarification.
Very well, Senior Counsel. Maybe I'll read the whole program all the way to the end.
Thank you.
You will proceed. Of course, for the record, I will ask the National Assembly to officially rest their matter to allow you usher in your witness. Once your witness takes to the stand, you have 2 hours to present your case. The National Assembly has 1.5 hours for purposes of cross-examination. Thereafter, the senators will have 1 hour to seek clarifications or ask questions. Once that is done, the counsel for the National Assembly will have 1 hour to make closing remarks. Likewise, the team of the Deputy President will be given 1 hour to make its closing remarks. Once that is done, the Senate will move into a closed session as per our rules of procedure. So that is the program for this afternoon.
I'm now very clear, Mheshimiwa Speaker, and I thank you. The situation is now clear. But just before my colleagues on the other side close their case, can I, through Mheshimiwa Speaker, ask whether the National Assembly still wishes to call a witness whose affidavit was filed, the governor of the county government of Nairobi, Johnson Sakaja. We have a copy of his affidavit. Is he going to be called or not called? Because if the National Assembly is not calling that affidavit, whose affidavit is part of the record and was availed to us, that affidavit, Mheshimiwa Speaker, contains allegations that are extremely injurious to the Deputy President. So if he is not going to be called, we will be making an application for that affidavit to be expunged from the records of this Honorable Senate. Thank you.
Counsel for the National Assembly, you had listed quite a number of witnesses. Are you going to call all of them, or are you going to, for the record, are you going to close your case where we are?
Mr. Speaker, sir, on behalf of the National Assembly, we shall close our case where we are. Mr. Speaker, sir, if you are, with your permission, I could respond to the submissions by my learned senior, Mr. Paul Mwite.
Please do.
Mr. Speaker, sir, at the beginning of the proceedings that we are currently going through, this House did invite parties to give indications as to the witnesses they wanted to call. Mr. Speaker, sir, we gave the list of the witnesses whom we thought were relevant for purposes of clarifying what we needed to have clarified. If counsel for His Excellency the Deputy President did not do as much or did not take advantage of that window that was open, surely they cannot blame us for it. But secondly, and more importantly, Mr. Speaker, sir, yesterday, in the course of the deliberations in relation to one of the preliminary questions that had been raised, you gave a very clear ruling on the intendment of Rule 20 of the rules of this House. In particular, the understanding was that every material that was forwarded by the Speaker of the National Assembly to this House constituted evidence in support of the allegations that are the subject of inquiry by this House. It then follows that if the application that learned senior counsel, Mr. Paul Mwita, is making were to be looked at in its totality, he is actually making an application to amend or to remove certain aspects of the evidence from the record. Mr. Speaker, sir, that is an issue that you settled and rested yesterday. I don't think it's an issue that is open for re-intervention. Mr. Speaker, sir, it should also suffice to note that even on our side, there are affidavits that form part of the record that came from the National Assembly. In particular, there is an affidavit sworn and which is in favor of His Excellency the Deputy President, an affidavit sworn by the joint executors of the will, that is Mr. Njoroge Rigeru, together with the other executors. It is part of this record. We have not made an application to have it expanded. We have an opportunity to deal with it when the time comes. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, sir, the nature of the sittings that this House currently is undertaking is quasi-judicial. It is inquisitorial in nature. If that is to be the correct position, Mr. Speaker, sir, then the rules of evidence as we know it in the court would not necessarily bind the proceedings, because what has been presented is a subject of what the honorable senators are going to investigate. At the end of it, it is not a judgment that they will be giving, it will be a vote. I rest my case, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Cross-examining so he is not being called. And in fairness to the deputy governor, all that we are asking is that affidavit be expunged together with the affidavit of Peterson Jomo, who they are not calling now, and also the affidavit of Mercy Wajau, who is not being called. It is not fair to file affidavits containing information allegations injurious to the other party, then ask that those affidavits to remain as part of the record without calling them and availing them for cross-examination. So my application is that the 3 affidavits be struck out. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, sir, just for clarity, there is absolutely no new material that was presented after the material that was sent to this House from the National Assembly. For instance, the affidavit by His Excellency Johnson Sakaja is to be found at volume 1 of the documents that are being filed.
Let me counsel for the National Assembly. Let me get it clear.
Yes,
the
Mr.
affidavit by the Nairobi governor, was it filed after the proceedings of the National Assembly, or it forms part and parcel of the proceedings that came from the National Assembly?
It forms part and parcel of the proceedings that came from the National Assembly. In particular, Mr. Speaker, sir, all those affidavits form what constituted part of what came into through public participation.
So just holding that so that we make progress. Senior counsel, you have indicated that the affidavit by the Honorable Governor for Nairobi did not form part of the documents that emanated from the National Assembly. Now, the position as held by the Council of the National Assembly is to the contrary. These are things we can settle now. Did it come with a bundle of documents from the National Assembly, or it was filed after the Senate was seized of those documents?
Mheshimiwa Speaker, I have been corrected by my colleagues. The affidavits where the affidavit by Governor Johnson Sakaja was actually part of the public participation. So it was part of the record of the national.
So now,
yes,
let's move to the two.
Yes.
Let's move to the two. Now, have a seat, Senior Counsel. Counsel for the National Assembly.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yeah, respond to the two more affidavits, because the contention from the Council of the Deputy President is that they were filed after the record was received from the National Assembly by the Senate.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I reiterate the position that we earlier on gave, that there's not any single document other than the document that was admitted yesterday pursuant to our application that came in after the record had been presented before this House.
So the affidavits were not filed after the Senate received the bundle of documents from the National Assembly?
Absolutely not.
Can you lead us to the volume and the page containing these affidavits from the National Assembly?
Mr. Speaker, sir, just give me 1 minute to consult with my colleagues here. I identify it, then I bring it. It's not an issue that we had anticipated.
Yeah, so that we settle this matter.
Most of that.
Yeah, let's settle it.
It is not, Mheshimiwa Speaker, it's only the affidavit of Peterson Jomo that was filed in the Senate. It did not form any part
Very well,
of the
Senior
National
Counsel.
Assembly.
So then let's settle that one and we make progress. We need not argue on this matter.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I think what happened is that we skipped the opportunity to identify the documents from both sides of what had been filed. The documents that we filed yesterday has a volume 8. That is the document that contains the affidavit of Peterson Jomo.
So it is that affidavit, if you go to the Senior Counsel, it is that affidavit that they're looking forward to cross-examining the deponent. Now that you've closed your case, the argument from the Council of the Deputy President is, how then are we going to test the truth of those averments? What say you on that?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I did give an indication that, number one, at the commencement of these proceedings, any party who wanted to cross-examine any of the deponents of any of the documents had an opportunity, upon your invitation, to invite such parties to appear before them. If our counterparts appearing for His Excellency the Deputy President did not find it appropriate to call that witness at that point in time, they cannot now hold us to say that you had said you'd call this person, you will not call them. Because the person we were to call was for purposes of clarifying what we thought was important for us. Now, this being an inquisitorial proceeding, a quasi-judicial proceeding, Mr. Speaker, sir, I think it would be a stretch to expect that if we didn't call or if we didn't avail any of the witnesses that were mentioned in any of the affidavits, then as of necessity that follows that record or that affidavit needs to be expanded. That's what I was saying. Pursuant to your ruling yesterday, that is evidence and material that was presented yesterday. It forms part of your record.
Now, before I give my way forward, Senator for Nairobi City.
Honorable Speaker, the counsel that are appearing in this case are people that I hold in extremely high regard. Senior Counsel Paul Muite appears to not have the confidence of the judges sitting here that we know how to treat evidence contained in an affidavit that is not tested at cross-examination. Even the judges you appear before in the courts that you practice in know what to do with evidence of a person who is not availing themselves for cross-examination. So, Honorable Speaker, I really don't understand what the contention is, because we sitting here as judges know how to treat that evidence. And I wanted to take this opportunity to calm the anxiety of Senior Counsel Paul Mwite, that indeed we do know what to do with such evidence.
Now, so that we make progress, so that we make progress, Senior Counsel has raised an important matter, which matter has been responded to by the Counsel for the National Assembly. Now, honorable senators, there is an affidavit sworn by one Jomo Mushira, who had been listed to appear as a witness for and on behalf of the National Assembly. The National Assembly has closed its case without calling that particular witness, and yet there's an affidavit that the counsel for the Deputy President will not have an opportunity to cross-examine. The question, as you retire at the end of this hearing, is to look at the probative value of that particular document. Senior Counsel Paul Mwite, your point is valid. The senators have noted.
Because this is an important, very important institution with a judicial function, court of record, permit me to put on record that there is a slight distinction between counsel and the client. I have absolute full faith in honorable senators, including my friend, the senator for Nairobi, but I am carrying out instructions of my client.
Yes, so I've given direction on this particular matter. Let us move forward. Having said that, Senior Counsel Paul Mwite, if you're ready, you may now usher in your witness.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, we are anxiously waiting for the Deputy President. My colleagues can stand here, can stand in. For me, let me make inquiries and find out where he's held up. We certainly wish to call him as a witness.
Very well. Yes, what is your point of procedure, Senator Boni?
Unprecedented to the extent that when we stand down business in this house, it normally arises from a communication with the chair that you are temporarily, for a specific time, suspending the proceedings. You have not done this, and we are seated in the chamber. The mess is in. I do not know whether we want this to be the new standard, Mr. Speaker. Could you guide us? We have no idea how long we're going to wait. And time is running, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, at the rise of the House at 1:15, I made it clear that upon resumption, the Deputy President was going to take the stand. We came in here, I communicated the program for the afternoon, and I said we're going to execute it with military precision, owing to the fact that we need to conclude business today. Senior Counsel Paul Muite indicated that he cannot get hold of his client. That is not the concern of this House. So time is running. Order, order, honorable senators. Order. The floor is available to the Deputy President and no other senator or no other entity.
Well, the Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Amason King, currently presiding over the business of the Senate this afternoon, has just directed that the floor at this particular juncture is not available to any other senator owing to the...
I used very basic English. I know you. You have such a wonderful grasp of the language. You need not to get any clarification.
It is a exactly 15:04 p.m. this afternoon, being the 17th day of October 2024, the afternoon sitting of the Senate this afternoon was to kick off with the Deputy President taking the stand, bearing in mind the DP, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, is the sole witness in the case where the National Assembly, through the move of the motion, Honorable Mwengi Mutuse has leveled 11 grounds for impeachment of the Deputy President from office. We have already dispensed with the prosecution side, and during this afternoon sitting, immediately after the commencement of business, the representing the National Assembly have confirmed to the House that they do not intend to call more witnesses in regards to this case. The counsel for the Deputy President the House through the Speaker that any evidence where the witnesses are not appearing be expunged from the record. It is a moment of waiting at the Senate this afternoon as the House awaits the arrival of the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, who is set to take this stand at the Senate this afternoon and prosecute his case through himself as well as his defense, and convince senators why the 11 grounds listed for impeachment should be quashed by the House. Our dear viewers, the motion for the removal by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, has 11 grounds where the National Assembly is seeking to have the Senate uphold the charges, or at least one of them, to have the Deputy President cease to hold office. Today, the mover of this motion, Honorable Mwengi Mutuse, who also serves as Kibwezi West lawmaker, has told senators for the better part of yesterday and today that his desire through this motion is that the House finds the Deputy President to have committed the offenses listed in this motion. And this afternoon, the defense of the Deputy President, led by Senior Counsel Lawyer Paul Muite, will be seeking to water down those charges by the evidence that they will be presenting before the Senate this afternoon. And to just take you through probably some of the charges that the Deputy President will be seeking to counter this afternoon is charge number 1 on the gross violation of the Constitution and any other law. This is pursuant to Articles 150, subsection 1BI of the Constitution. Charge number 2, in the impeachment motion by Honorable Member for Kibwezi West. The Honorable Member alleges in his motion that there is gross violation of Articles 147 subsection 1 and 152 subsection 1 of the Constitution, where the Deputy President is being accused of undermining the presidency. Under Article 147 subsection 1 of the Constitution, the Deputy President is the principal assistant of the President and shall deputize the President in the execution of President's function. The Honorable Deputy President of going in contravention with cabinet resolutions on matters evacuation of people residing along Nairobi River. Shortly after His Excellency, shortly after being in contravention with the cabinet resolution, the Deputy President made public a statement opposing the Nairobi River riparian execution orders. According to the mover of the motion, this is undermining the resolutions by the cabinet. Under charge number 3, again on gross violation of Article 6, subsection 2, Articles 10, subsection 2A, Article 174, and Article 188, and the 4th schedule of the Constitution, where the Deputy President is accused of undermining devolution. Of the motion, in his motion states that on the 20th of September 2024, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, recklessly and mindful of the high calling and dignified status of the office of the Deputy President, unlawfully interfered with the running of the Nairobi County government by holding a public rally in which he incited citizens against lawful directives by the Nairobi City County government on the planning and relocation of markets. This is just some of the grounds listed or some of the annexes under charge number 3, where the Deputy President is said to defend himself on these charges, among others.
Senior Counsel Paul Mwite. Your time started running.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, may I?
Let me just conclude, Senior. Your time started running at the time I requested you to usher in your witness. You indicated that you're getting hold of your witness. We'll give you all the time you need to get hold of your witness, but to let you know that the clock is running and it's running on your client. You can take all the time, but his time is running out. After 2 hours, he's not appeared, the chair will make a ruling pursuant to the rules of procedure.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, may I start first and foremost by expressing apologies and regrets that the Deputy President is not here, and by not being here, the inconvenience and delay caused to Mheshimiwa Speaker and to honorable senators. The position, Mheshimiwa Speaker, is that during that period that I went to try to find out why he wasn't here, because as Mheshimiwa Speaker knows, the Deputy President has been coming here absolutely punctually every day. The sad reality is that the Deputy President, the Republic of Kenya, has been taken sick, very sick, and as I address Mr. Speaker in this honorable House, senators, he is in hospital, Mheshimiwa Speaker. That is a sad reality.
Order, honorable senators. Order, honorable senators. Senator Kajuang. Now, Counsel for the National Assembly, you have heard Senior Counsel Paul Muite for on behalf of the Deputy President. Considering that this is a time-bound process, what is your reaction?
Mr. Speaker, sir, this is a house governed by the rule of law. We truly empathize with the difficulty that His Excellency, the Deputy President, has found himself in. But, Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to Rule 11 of the rules governing this process, if I may, with your permission,
maybe Counsel for the National Assembly.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Just take a seat before you make your rejoinder. Senior Counsel Paul Muite, having said whatever you've said, what is your proposed way forward so that a reaction can be put from the National Assembly? Are you telling us we wait until your client gets here? What is your proposed way forward?
Mheshimiwa Speaker, I have just received this information. My proposal is that you give me at least the rest of the day. I'd like to go and have an assessment of his situation and maybe even come back here by 5 p.m. Right now, I would like to make an informed sort of the Deputy President, and I see the doctor, Mheshimiwa Speaker, at least an hour or two. Yes, thank you.
Very well. Counsel for the National Assembly.
Mr. Speaker, sir, having very keenly listened to my learned senior colleague, Paul Muite, senior counsel, it puts us in a bit of a difficulty because whereas we may want to, Mr. Speaker, sir, this being a house governed by rules and this process being a time-bound process, I will draw your attention to Rule 11 of the rules of this House. If I may read, Mr. Speaker, sir, that where the National Assembly or the President chooses not to appear before the Senate, that fact shall be put on record and the Senate shall proceed with its investigation without further reference to the National Assembly or the President. But the Senate may, for exceptional reasons to be recorded, permit a later appearance before the Senate by the National Assembly or the President. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think this rule would give us guidance. We may proceed. If it becomes necessary, then any additional material may then be availed. This is a time-bound constitutional process, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'm most obliged.
Let me pick the wisdom of my wonderful senators before I make my decision on the way forward. Now, I understand that all of you are wise men and women.
Speaker, can I just say a word?
Yes.
I've heard what Senior Counsel Paul Muite has said, and Mr. Speaker, you have made it quite clear that these proceedings are time-bound. It's not so much about the situation in which His Excellency the Vice President finds himself. It's about the Senate complying with the provisions of the Constitution. That within that time frame, you must make a decision. Reading the standing orders that my learned friend, Mr. Rick Gumbo, has referred to, it would be useful to this House if Senior Counsel Paul Muite could probably give us a way forward in terms of the time limitation that the Senate has. I'm saying this because we don't want somebody to say that the Deputy President was not given an opportunity to be heard. I think the Senate will want him to be heard. But knowing the time limitation, what suggestions does the Senior Counsel have to ensure that we keep within the time parameters? At the same time, the Deputy President is given his space to defend himself.
So we have two sides. We have the minority side and the majority side. I will only allow the two leaders to speak. if you need to consult in the next 1 minute. Now, honorable senators, the standing orders have not been suspended yet. It is only Senator Mazayo and the majority leader. The rest, take your seat. The rest, please take your seat. Order, honorable senators.
kaunti ya Kwale. Hii barabara inaanzia katika eneo bunge la Msambweni ambalo mimi naliwakilisha hapa, ikipitia eneo bunge la Matuga, eneo bunge Mheshimiwa Tandaza nalo liunganisha hapa, ikifika eneo bunge la Lungalunga. Hii barabara Mheshimiwa Speaker, ni kama imesahauliwa na hili shirika letu la Kenya. Barabara hii kama tunavyojua, miundo mbinu ndio uti wa mgongo wa maendeleo yoyote. Na katika sehemu hizi ndio sehemu ambazo katika Kwale County tumezizingatia sana pakubwa katika swala zima la ukulima. Huku watu wanafanya ukulima kama sehemu ya Shimba Hills. Hiyo ni sehemu ambayo ukuzaji wa machungwa yanakuzwa kwa hali ya wingi sana. Nikisema mkoa wa Pwani, 70% yanatoka katika mji wa Shimba Hills na barabara yake haipitiki. Kwa hiyo hata mimi ningemuomba mwenyekiti wa ile komiti ya transport atueleze, aje hapa atueleze wizara iko na mikakati gani ya kuhakikisha hii barabara inakarabatiwa kwa haraka upesi. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Speaker, I acknowledge from the members, but the chairman will give a statement from the members, but the chairman will give a comprehensive response in the next 2 weeks.
Yes, Gichumu. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Honorable Speaker, on the 2nd day of October 2024, I sent a statement from the Chairman Committee of Agriculture regarding the payment of Kemunye and Umaita tea factories, which are situated within Gachagua constituency. And there was a commitment through the Vice Chair that this statement will be coming, will be responded to within 2 weeks, which lapsed yesterday. Honorable Speaker, this matter is of utmost urgency because the tea farmers from the 2 factories have still boycotted plucking, and it is important that the matter be handled with a little bit of urgency so I can be able to give feedback to the farmers that I represent in Gachagua.
Thank you, Mutunga. You are supposed to respond to that. The last 2 weeks, I'm told.
Honourable Speaker, the issue of tea has been countrywide, not in one area.
Do you have the response?
I do not have the response, but we are getting the response in a week's time, because we are also going out this week to even establish by ourselves what exactly caused the variance in pricing.
Okay.
Of the bonuses.
Thank you. Chair Rhodes, I'm told Zahir, you have the responses. Start by responding to the statement of Monica Marubu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on Thursday, 19th June 2024, the member for Lamu County, Honorable Monica Marubu, Member of Parliament, requested for a statement from the Chairman of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure regarding the status of compensation for fishermen in Lamu County. Honorable Speaker, in the statement, the Honorable Monica Marubu sought to establish, among other things, details of the fishermen set to receive compensation, including their areas of residence, fishing grounds, and state criteria used for the verification process. Honorable Speaker, measures in place to ensure that only fishermen from the affected fishing grounds and local fisher community receive compensation and provide timelines for completion of the compensation process. And why the government is yet to implement a fishing value chain approach to boost the fishing industry of the area, considering that the compensation provided to fishermen does not provide a long-term solution, hence jeopardizing the sustainable source of livelihood of the community. Honorable Speaker, the committee received a response from the Ministry of Roads and Transport through the Clerk of the National Assembly on the 20th of September 2024, which I wish to make. Honorable Speaker, regarding the details of the fishermen to receive the compensation, including the areas of residence, fishing grounds, and state criteria used for the verification process. The ministry acknowledged that the fishermen residing in Lamu County are set to receive cash compensation. It also noted that the affected victims were identified through beach management units with the cooperation of the local BMUs, chairs, and the county government. Honorable Speaker, in March 2023, KPA, Kenya Ports Authority, began verifying and processing agreements for compensation, initially approving 4,026 fishermen. However, a directive from the EACC halted payments for further verification. Honorable Speaker, after completing their investigation, the EACC validated 4,167 fishermen, while an additional 567 names were requested for verification. As per the court order from December 1st, 2022, KPA has commenced compensation payments of Kenya shilling 241,714 to each of the 4,026 approved fishermen and boat owners, totaling to 973,141,852. Honorable Speaker, payments were to be completed by June 2nd, 2024. Up to date, KPA successfully processed payments to 3,887 fishermen, while 139 payments bounced due to incorrect bank details. Honorable Speaker, with regards to the measures in place to ensure that the fishermen from the affected fishing grounds and local fisher community receive compensation and provide timelines for completion of the compensation process, the ministry submitted that KPA, guided by the EACC, will adhere to a set criteria. The compensation is expected to be completed by mid of December 2024, contingent on the chairs of beach management units, famously known as the BMUs, providing the identities of the 567 disputed names. Honorable Speaker, the list of the eligible fishermen and boat owners were compiled by officials of the BMU and representatives from the county government of Lamu, based on the following criteria. 1, they must have been fishermen or boat owner by October 16, 2016. They must have been registered with the county government of Lamu as either fishermen or boat owner or by the same date. Honorable Speaker, regarding the reasons government is yet to implement fishing value chain approach to boost the fishing industry of the area, considering the compensation provided to fishermen does not provide a long-term solution, hence jeopardizing the sustainable source of livelihood of the community. The cash compensation is 65% of the Lamu fishermen compensation amount. Honorable Speaker, the other 35% of the fund consists of 640 million set aside by the government for development of physical infrastructure and support services toward the fishing industry in the area. KPA is set to engage the Lamu stakeholders on the nature of equipment they will wish KPA to procure as part of the sustainability development. A task force, Honorable Speaker, that was formed in 2019 to follow up on the compensation and its modalities. Honorable Speaker, it is prudent to note, however, that due to passage of time and changing fishing dynamics in Lamu County, Honorable Speaker, there is need to have this report proposal validated in terms of the identity of the equipment and the equivalent specifications before the validation exercise. Honorable Speaker, the task force will be required to conduct consultative and stakeholder participation engagement activities in Lamu County. This is a process to be undertaken by the members of the task force before KPA and can move towards a procurement stage. Honorable Speaker, as I wind up, KPA has committed to facilitating the conclusion of the compensation process by engaging all the stakeholders involved. Honorable Speaker, the committee also assures the honorable member that it will follow up on this matter and has planned to engage the ministry on the same early in November. Honorable Speaker, I submit.
Okay, the originator of the question, do you want to make a comment?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the honorable member and a member of the said committee have indicated that the identification and indeed the compilation of the list of the beneficiaries were done in collaboration with everyone else except the members of parliament of the National Assembly. KPA is a are functions of the national government. How come that the names and the process was done with everyone else except the members of the National Assembly, myself, and the other members included? Number two, Madam Speaker, I have not seen the list of the 3,800 and something fisher persons that the honorable member has indicated have been compensated. I hope the list is available because we have had a situation in Lamu where everyone else is compensated except the people of Lamu. We had a situation where people were compensated for land in Kivilana for the Lamu port, and these people, like 3/4 of the people that were compensated, were people out of Lamu. So in this situation, Madam Speaker, I can always, I can almost commit that the list of the said members of a fishing community are not people of Lamu. But then we will see the list and then we will interrogate and submit it to the people, because we've had a situation where people are taking the money for the people of Lamu. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Okay.
Concerns raised by the honorable member committee through the chair, we will follow up by engaging the ministry further and inviting the cabinet secretary together with the honorable member so that she can come and have a meeting with the ministry and members of the committee.
Fair enough, thank you. Next, is there a response for the question by Honorable Ruku? He's not around. Okay. So let's proceed to the other statements. Statement. Okay, proceed. But the table the report since the member is not here. Thank you. Let's go to the responses to previous questions. The response by the Communication, Information and Innovation Committee Chair to respond to Honorable Clive Kiziaro.
Yeah, I'm the vice of the committee. Let me respond.
Proceed.
Thank you, Speaker. The Honorable Clive Gisairo, Member for Parliament of Kitutu Masaba, of the 13th Parliament of the 3rd Session of the National Assembly, raised the question below. His question number 1 was, what's the status of implementation of the Kenya Digital Economy Acceleration Project since disbursement of funds by World Bank? And here's the response. Honorable Speaker, the KDEAP project was declared effective 2nd February 2024 following a legal opinion by the Attorney General. The government had its time met the 6 conditions of effectiveness of the project. The ministry obtained a budget allocation of 400 million Kenyan shillings in the supplementary budget to fiscal year 2023-2024 in the month of June 2024. On 27th June 2024. However, the disbursement of the project bank account under ICT Authority is yet to be completed. The current fiscal year 2024-2025 has a budget allocation of 2.8 billion granted under the 18-month work plan has been approved by the World Bank. And the second question for Honorable Gisairo was, what regions benefited from implementation of the project so far? And here is the response. Honorable Speaker, the project implementation is starting this current financial year, and the terms of reference are under review in preparation for the rollout. Upon implementation, the project will benefit the whole country. Here the third question. What are the expected gains for the project, for this project? The response, Honorable Speaker, the beneficiary of the project includes citizens, the private sector, public sector agencies, students, and civil servants. Individuals across the nation will benefit from wider opportunities to participate in the digital economy through the widened access of broadband internet, fiber Wi-Fi hotspots, and the community access schemes, as well as digital access of public services, as well as enhanced data protection. The program places a strong emphasis on digital inclusivity and bridging the divide, i.e. the BWDs, that's people with disabilities, vulnerable communities, and underserved areas. On the same note, we have the second response for Honorable Doris Donya Toto, the women rep for Kisii. He had asked the question 1, measures that are in place to ensure the ISPs such as Safaricom.
What's your point of order?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. He has responded to my statement. I think I was to be allowed to comment before he goes to the next statement he wants to respond to, which is not mine.
Okay, I think we can allow that. So let's wait for the next statement. Proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I sought for a statement around 6 months ago. The statement was in regard to a disbursement by World Bank of 390 million US dollars, which is equivalent to 48 billion Kenya shillings. Madam Speaker, the response we've had here is not worth 100,000 Kenya shillings. This is basic and simply disrespectful to this House. Honorable Speaker, this is the reason why the chair has always avoided bringing this statement to this House, despite my many follow-ups. He had even confided in me that he cannot stand in this House to read this statement. Because what is written here, I doubt even the permanent secretary went through it before appending his signature. This is a statement written by an intern in that office. When we are talking about 48 billion, and the response talking about 400 million, which again, it goes ahead to say, has not gotten into their account. A project which was funded in 2023 March to date. Honorable Speaker, I'm totally dissatisfied with this response and would like that the committee helps me get a proper response, even if it means me joining them in the committee to get to the depth of this matter. We cannot have such responses after 6 months. You get 3 leaves of paper explaining nothing, telling us that the beneficiaries will be the citizens and the whole country. Honorable Speaker, I'm totally disappointed, and I hope to get a proper response on the statement that I sought from the committee chair of ICT. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Nabi.
Madam Speaker, the Kenya Digital Economy Acceleration Project is a World Bank project that is supposed to help not just anyone, but the young people of this country, the disadvantaged people of this country. Madam Speaker, it disappoints me that we are talking about 48 billion shillings. This is money the World Bank has brought to this economy that is supposed to accelerate the economy. And we cannot finger out any single project anywhere in this country. They are hiding behind the word citizens. Can they identify which citizens are going to benefit in this project? Because citizens come from somewhere. The project is supposed to be domesticated somewhere. It is very disappointing. And Madam Speaker, I would like you to find this committee completely out of order, not giving us satisfactory answers.
Okay, I think probably the committee can help the member if you summon the relevant state departments, and then Honorable Member for Kitutu Masaba can attend and get maybe final answers. I think that's a better way of dealing with it. Is that acceptable?
That's accepted, Madam Speaker, but if they can give us timelines. It has taken 6 months to bring this. If we don't have timelines, we may end the 13th Parliament without a response.
Yes, I think it can be within 2 weeks of after recess. I think 6 months is really out of order. Okay, thank you. Let's go to, you can move to the next statement.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We will do as guided by your office, and we will invite the member together with the minister to discuss it further. Now let's go to the second question, which was asked by Honorable Doris Donya, MP. Her first question was measures that are in place to ensure that ISPs such as Safaricom, Telecom, Airtel compensate their customers adequately during prolonged internet outages. Response number one, internet service providers fall under the application service provider license category implemented by the Communication Authority. The authority has licensed over 500 applications service providers, and they are required to provide quality services devoid of service interruptions. The licensed entities are required to put in place measures that will ensure continued uptime of their services to ensure high availability, reliability of internet services, as well as customer complaint handling mechanism. Whereas the current regulatory framework does not prescribe specific compensation in case of service outrage, the service providers provide for different levels of compensation to their customers. These include wireless data bundles when affected by fiber at home, internet services downtime, data bundle period extension for period of unavailability, no charge for postpaid customers for period of unavailability, apologies, communicate through various communication channels. That was our first question. He had another question. Question number two, clarify on the implementation of broadband compensation and repeats by internet services providers for their customers in the event of service disruptions. The response, the interruption during planned activities or system upgrade, that's maintenance, licenses are required to notify the CA and their customers 7 days before such a downtime. These activities are also expected to be carried out during lowest period of tariff volumes. For unforeseen outrages, licensees are expected to inform the CA of the occurrence within 24 hours and outline the measures they have undertaken to ensure minimum disruptions of service to customers. CA also handles customers' complaints on the case-by-case basis. He had another question, number three, where she was requesting outline the steps taken by the Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy to enhance accountability in ISPs and protect the rights of customers, especially in the right of increasing dependence on the internet services. And this is the response for the last question, a part of it. CA through establishment framework for assessment of quality of services, that's QoS, of telecommunication service systems that covers end-to-end QoS services, parameters for voice, SMS, and data. Currently, Safaricom, Airtel, and Telecom are assessed on an annual basis. The mobile network operators that fall to meet the minimum standard of 80% QoS performance is issued with a notice of violation. Failure to address may lead to penalties up to 0.4% of the mobile network annual turnover. The framework is currently under review in order to enhance accountability of the ISPs. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Donya Doris, do you want to comment?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My major question actually was during power shortages Safaricom are doing their repairs, which they can do for 2 to 3 days. They don't compensate the customers with what they've lost. Yet, you subscribe every month. So for those 3 days, they've not paid the customers. How do they get compensated? During power outages, no one gets the bundles for compensation. He has not even indicated what I had asked. Mheshimiwa Alpha, they don't compensate. What you've been given to answer is null and void. That is Kamago's response.
Have any response? Yes, because she's saying that you have not answered the actual question.
Then what I can recommend, let's notify the honorable member with the affected department from the ministry, and we dig further about the issue.
Time frame? Again, within 2 weeks, since it's from the same State Department. Within 2 weeks after we resume from recess. Thank you. Okay, I think we're done with the next order. Oh, it's a statement. Do you have your weekly report?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I am holding brief for the substantive majority leader for his usual Thursday statement. And Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order number 44-2A, I rise to give the following statement on behalf of the House Business Committee, which met on Tuesday, 15th October 2024. Although again, the House Business Committee still met today to prioritize business for consideration during the week. Honorable Speaker, I wish to commend the leadership of this House and members for the dedication and cooperation exhibited in the session so far. As members will note, Honorable Speaker, the House resolved to hold sittings tomorrow on Friday, 18th October 2024, commencing at 9:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. respectively, tomorrow on Friday. The House is therefore set to proceed on a short recess commencing Tuesday, 22nd October 2024, and resume regular sittings on Tuesday, 5th November 2024. I really hope the members who are consulting in loud, Honorable Speaker, are able to take note of the particular dates, because it will be remembered that when we went for a short recess last session, Honorable Speaker, some few members still reported to duty in this House the following day because they were not very keen on when the House adjourned for short recess. So I say that the House is going to proceed for short recess from Tuesday, 22nd October, and the regular sittings will resume on Tuesday, 5th November 2024. Honorable Speaker, with regards to the business schedule for tomorrow, Friday, 18th October 2024, the House is expected to consider the following private members' business and other priority business, some of which are listed in today's order paper. Committee of the whole House of the Senate amendments to the Food and Feed Safety Control Coordination Bill 2023. Second reading of the following bills, Honorable Speaker: the Higher Education Loans Board Amendment Bill 2022, the Parliamentary Pensions Bill 2023, the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill 2022, the Political Parties Amendment Bill 2022, the Parliamentary Pensions Amendment Bill 2022, the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 37 of 2023, the Environmental Management and Coordination Amendment Bill 2023, the Land Control Bill 2023, and the County Government's Revenue Raising Process Bill of 2023. Honorable Speaker, with regard to business schedule for Tuesday, 5th November 2024, the House is expected to continue second reading of the following bills, if not concluded. That is the Equalization Fund Administration Bill, Senate Bill number 14 of 2023, the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill 2022, and the Political Parties Amendment Bill 2022. Additionally, Honorable Speaker, debate will also be undertaken on the following motions, should they not be concluded today. That is the first report on the implementation status of the House resolutions of the committee, reports and public petitions passed by the House, report on the alleged unfair trade practices by foreign investors in Kenya, second report on employment diversity audit in public institutions, report of the extraordinary session of the 6th Pan-African Parliament, consideration of reports on financial statement of the state corporations of Nyanza region, third report on consideration of the audited accounts of specified state corporations, and consideration of session of paper number 5 of 2023 on the national policy on migration, on labor migration. Having said that, Honorable Speaker, in accordance with the provisions of Standing Order number 42A, 5 and 6, I wish to convey that the Cabinet Secretary for Roads and Transport is scheduled to appear before the House on the afternoon Wednesday, 6th of November, to respond to the following questions. Number one question, Honorable Speaker, is by private notice number 13 of 2024 by the member for Gatanga, the Honorable Wakili Edward Mureu, MP, regarding status of any negotiation for a concession agreement between the government and the Adani Group regarding the management of Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Honorable Speaker, question by private notice number 14, 2024, by the member for Embakasi West, the Honorable Mark Mwenje, regarding amount of money disbursed to KERA for financial year 2023 and 2024 as of September 2024 for Nandi County, Nandi City County, yes. Sorry, should be Nairobi City County. My apologies. Nandi is not a county, Honorable Speaker. And the measures. Nandi is not a city. Sorry, it's a county, but it's not a city. I realized there is a typo here. It's supposed to be Nairobi City County and not Nandi City County. Nandi is not a city. It is a county, but it's not a city. It is some village county. Sorry, it's a good county known for very good farming for tea and other matters. And the measures being taken to address the...
What's your point of order, Honorable Meli?
Madam Speaker, the majority whip is actually demeaning my county. The source of champions, then the county is known for tea, sugar, and all, and even the home county, almost where the nationalist Koitalel Samoya came from. So he should read his statement well and apologize to the people of Nandi County.
My apologies, Honorable Meli. I really don't mean to undermine the great county of Nandi. What I meant is that it's a county that is found in the remote areas of this country and doing very well in, but it's not a city. And it does very well in athletics, farming, but the fact is it's in the remote areas of this country. But, Honorable Speaker, question number 167.
You know, Honorable Speaker, that the supports are the grandfathers of the Kalenjin community. And I would not want Honorable Asoro to get away with disparaging the Nandi County as a remote county. It's not fair, Honorable Soro. I think that one you should be able to withdraw that statement. With all respect, Majority Whip.
I hope Honorable Pukose will take judicial notice of the fact that my first girlfriend hailed from Nandi County, and I found that village was very remote when I was visiting that area then. And I also want to inform Honorable Pukose that I was privileged to attend a great school in a very, very great school in a remote area of Nandi County called Kapsabet. So, Honorable Speaker, I know when I say, no, the school is great, but it's found in some very remote area in Nandi County. But I am fair that Nandi is a great county. Question number 167, but it's not a seat, we agree. Question number 167, 2023, by the member for Baringo Central, the Honorable Joshua Kandie, regarding criteria used and applied by the Kenya Roads Board to determine the amount of funds allocated to each constituency. Question number 178 of 2023 by the member for Kinangop, the Honorable Gonzi Rai, regarding the issuance of demolition notices against the Makinon Road Trading Center, purely by the Kenya National Highway Authority. And also the question number 13 of 2024 by the member for Funyula, Honorable Dr. Ojiambo Oudo, MP, regarding the current status of Matayos, Ganjala, Nahasiko, Nangina Road that was rendered under the 10,000 kilometers low volume sealed road procured during the commencement of the financial year 2017-2018. There is also notice of question number 14 of 2024 by the member for Bahati, the Honorable Irene Joki, regarding the status report on the progress and expected timelines for completion of the Lanet Airport project. There is also question number 70 by the member for Malava, the Honorable Malulu Injendi, regarding the progress report of construction of Class AI Kakamega Kaburengi Road, whose construction commenced in October 2012. Number 78 of 2024 by the member for Luanda, the Honorable CPA Dick Maungu, regarding reasons for the delays by the contractor in upgrading of Maseno Kombeo Road to bitumen standard given the deplorable and impassable conditions of the 5.1 kilometer stretch from Maseno to Opasi to Luanda constituency. There is also question number 79 of 2024 by the member for Yata, or the Honorable Robert Basil, regarding reasons behind the significant delay in the completion of construction of the Matu Ekalakala Kiwindani Road to Kiasioni Road in Yata constituency. There is also question number 127, Honorable Speaker, of 2024, by the member for Laikipia North, the Honorable Sarah Korere, regarding reasons for delay in completion of construction works on Doldo Nanyuki Road in Laikipia North constituency. Question number 128, Honorable Speaker, by the member for the West Pokot County, the Honorable Rael Kasiwai, regarding the rationale behind the stalling of Baripelo Tot Marich Road project that expected date of commencement of the stall project. And there is also question number 129, Honorable Speaker, by the member for Kajiado South, the Honorable Samuel Parashina, regarding the details of the status of the construction of Ila City, Rombo Taveta Road. Question number 133 of 2024 by the member for Matuga, Kasim Tandaza, regarding the update of the progress of construction of Kwale Kinango B92 Road, whose construction commenced on 4th of August 2021 and was to be completed on 3rd August 2024. There is question number 137 of 2024 by the member for Igembe South, Igembe Central, the Honorable Daniel Carido, regarding the construction of Kangeta, Moeteni, Kadelwa, Dhuuri Road that has stalled since 2016. There is also a question number 138 by the member for Mwingi West, the Honorable Charles Ngusia, regarding the status of construction of the remaining 25-kilometer stretch, section of Kibwezi, Kitui, Kabati, Miwani, Bondoni Road, to bitumen standards, which are stalled. Question number 139, Honorable Speaker, by the member for Matayos, the Honorable Geoffrey Odanga, regarding the measures put in place to ensure road safety on Thika Superhighway and monitoring of the road so as to mitigate the frequencies of such accidents. And finally, Honorable Speaker, on the questions, we have question number 140 by the member for Ikolomani, the Honorable Bernard Chinali, regarding the construction of E9127, Mulundu, Shitoli, Malinya, Lusui Road that are stalled, and so the CS can provide the measures put in place to ensure the resumption of works by the contractor. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, the House Business Committee, after today's meeting, Honorable Speaker, will reconvene again on Tuesday, the 5th of November 2024, to schedule business for the rest of that week. I now wish to lay this statement, Honorable Speaker, on the table of the House. I thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
I think we can now move to the next order.
Order number 8, the Kenya Information and Communications Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 52 of 2022, second reading. Question to be put.
Honorable members, I now put the question that the Kenya Information and Communications Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 52 of 2022 be read a second time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Kenya Information and Communications Act and for connected purposes. Order number 9, the Community Health Workers Bill, National Assembly Bill number 53 of 2022, second reading. Mover to reply.
Thank you, Honorable Owino.
Thank you very much.
You have a point of order? One moment. Do you have a point of order? Yes, proceed, Honorable Gogoyo.
Madam Speaker, would I be in order? Thank you. Madam Speaker, would I be in order to request that your indulgence, that this House observes a moment of sympathy to the Deputy President, who, Madam Speaker, has been taken ill this afternoon and is not able to transact. Madam Speaker, would I be in order to ask you to observe a moment of sympathy to the Deputy President?
What's your point of order, Honorable?
Honorable Speaker, whereas we all have our own political leanings, I think my brother, Honorable Tongoyo, Kongoyo, is overstretching this. We have always observed moments of silence in cases of death. That is number one. Number two, before us is no evidence that the Deputy President has been taken ill. There is absolutely no evidence. What we have heard is that the Senate is trying to trace their new client, the Deputy President, so that he can finish his side of witnessing of a case that emanated from this House, Honorable Speaker. So my brother is misplaced, and his thoughts are equally displaced, And this House has no latitude to entertain such kind of theatrics within the House. And I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Said by the honorable member, I think has just cleared it. It's we normally, you would pay tribute usually, and then the speaker would allow the members to rise for a minute for a moment of silence. In this case, that is not the case. So I think I want to grant your request. I think you may proceed, Honorable Member
Thank you,
for Diwa.
thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Before I reply, I want to donate 1 minute to Honorable Dorothy Mudhoni.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank Honorable Watch for bringing this very, very important bill to this House. Honorable Speaker, it's important to underscore the importance of the Community Health Workers Bill, which is before this House. Honorable Speaker, the Community Health Workers Bill is primarily aimed at supporting Article 43 of the 2010 Constitution. Health is very key.
What's your point of order? Just hold on, Honorable Kiara.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this House always keeps records, and I'm proud of the Honorable Member. But it's unfortunate that she's referring to a wrong person, that Honorable Watch, being the sponsor of the bill. I'm not aware of Honorable Watch being the sponsor of the bill. Maybe if he's referring to
Yes,
Honorable
I think
Martin
you can correct
Owino.
It's Honorable Peter Owino.
Yes.
Martin Owino, member for Ndiwa.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I said on watch, but from the part of the country where I come from, Owino, on watch, Ondaga are all names for that community, and so I seek forgiveness, Honorable Owino, Martin Owino. Honorable Speaker, I wish to add my voice to this very, very important motion, and I want to state, Honorable Speaker, if we fast track this bill, it will go a long way in helping our hospitals in managing various diseases. Honorable Speaker, the community health workers are the first and should be the first contact persons to identify various elements before patients go to seek treatment in hospitals. Honorable Speaker, these community health workers will be able to go to the villages and assist people in knowing who has what disease, Honorable Speaker. And it is very, very important to note that, Honorable Speaker, these health workers have been giving themselves at minimal cost. They are paid $2,500 at the moment, and if we can improve this kitty, Honorable Speaker, the government will stand advantaged, because we always say prevention is always better than cure. So, Honorable Martin, I want to thank you for this very important bill and say let's fast track.
You may proceed, Honorable Owino.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the member for that support. Honorable Speaker, yesterday we had a very robust debate on this, and across the board, everybody found that community health workers is an integral part of health delivery system of this country. Honorable Speaker, reactionary medicine is not helping. That is, waiting for patients to get so ill and treat them. is not improving the health of our people. That's why this bill, which wants to identify, train, register, and equip community health workers and regulate them, will help a long way in preventing diseases, but also in management of those diseases. Honorable Speaker, if this cadre is recognized and empowered the way the bill is saying, then we will have early detection of diseases. We will also have prompt referral system and client support system and efficient data system. We are not going back to use 3 years old data in order to do our business. Madam Speaker, there is what we call 3Ds. That really worsen the health of the people in this country. That is D number 1, delaying at home. D number 2, delay on the way, and D number 3, delay at the facility. These 3Ds, if we empower community health workers, they will be eliminated. And that will give good outcome of our health across the country. Madam Speaker, if the community health workers are empowered, trained, equipped, and regulated, there will be a reduction of disease burden in the community. They will also reduce death, as we have seen it, and disabilities. As Dr. Pukose will testify, you know, if you identify a diabetes condition early and advise the client to adjust the lifestyle, actually use a very little money other than we would have used in buying a dialysis machine, sessions. So it will cut the cost of care because of those early detections. Even consider the issues of cancers. Right now, people show with cancer conditions, it's stage 3 and 4. But if they identified earlier, they will for sure live a life. Madam Speaker, in closing, the issue of funding, and I want to thank Honorable Kuria Kimani for that idea we had. The issue of funding community health workers can be easily dealt with if we invest well in level 1 and in community health workers themselves. That will lessen the frequency of higher tertiary care. Now, the money saved from those reduced frequency can be plowed back into the community health workers. So those who are saying that it is expensive to have community health workers salaried, they are misinformed. In fact, if we invest in community health workers, we are going to cut the cost of healthcare in this country. Madam Speaker, we also put money in primary healthcare. The primary healthcare fund, the integral part of primary healthcare is community health workers. And therefore, those funds should be earmarked for paying them. There is no health outcomes that will come with volunteers, because these people also have their needs. Children going to school, they have their food has to be put on the table. They have needs like anybody else. But more importantly, uniquely, these cards are placed in our community, and they relate to the people in the village. That's why they are 24/7. Somebody who is doing 24/7, you cannot say you are giving 2,000 or 5,000. These people have to be salaried good in order to achieve what we want to achieve in health. Honorable Speaker, much was discussed, and I want to thank my chair for health, Dr. Pukose, who stayed in throughout, Dr. Honorable Kimani and Honorable Nyikal, who seconded this motion with passion and agreed that when he retires, he's also going to be a community health worker in Seme. I'll follow to do the same. All of us will end up in a community so that we can discharge this service. With those few remarks, I, Martin Peters Owino, Ward Chief Nyamrerwa number 1, I want to beg to reply. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Martin Peter Owino. Honorable members, we will not put the question at this moment. This will be done in another sitting, as will be scheduled by the House Business Committee. Next order.
Order number 10, motion, consideration of the mediated version of the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 15th October 2024. Honorable Speaker, in considering the clauses of the Sugar Bill 2022 under mediation, the committee had to address the following issues.
Please move the motion as per the order paper up to the end.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. That pursuant to the provisions of Article 113, subsection 2 of the Constitution, and Standing Order 150, subsection 3, this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 16th October 2024, and approves the mediation version of the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022. Honorable Speaker, in considering the clauses of the Sugar Bill 2022 under mediation, the committee had to address the following issues. 1, whether to go the zoning way as proposed by the Senate or the regional catchment area way as proposed by the National Assembly. 2, whether to increase the membership of the Kenya Sugar Board to 14 by adding a member from the least represented gender and a representative of persons living with disability and youth. 3, the nominating body for the representative of universities in the board of directors of the Sugar Research Institute. 4, the institution that will be in charge of the percentage of sugar development levy allocated for infrastructure development and maintenance. 5, whether imported industrial sugar should be exempted from payment of sugar development levy. 6, whether growers should be represented in the board of directors of private milling companies. And 7, whether to adopt the sugarcane zones proposed by the Senate or sugarcane catchment areas proposed by the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, the committee deliberated and resolved the above issues as follows. On 1, whether to go the zoning way as proposed by the Senate or the regional catchment areas way as proposed by the National Assembly, the committee resolved to adopt the National Assembly's position of putting in place regional catchment areas which will be important in cane management. On the issue number 2, whether to increase the membership of the Sugar Board, Kenya Sugar Board, to 14 by adding a member from the least represented gender and a representative of persons living with disability or youth, the committee resolved to retain the membership of the board at 12 and provided that the appointing authority shall ensure that there is adherence to the 2/3 gender rule and representation of the youth and persons living with disabilities in the board insofar as the practical. On item number 3, Honorable Speaker, the nominating body
for the representative of universities in the board of directors of the Sugar Research Institute. Honorable Speaker, the committee observed that universities in Kenya do not have an apex body to nominate the representative. The responsibility to nominate a representative of universities to the board was therefore placed to the cabinet secretary, who will ensure that the nominee has knowledge and experience in agricultural research in the sugarcane field. Honorable Speaker, item number 4, the institution that will be in charge of the percentage of development and maintenance managed by the Kenya Sugar Board and shared by the sugarcane producing regions on pro rata basis. This is because clause 43 of the bill provides that audited accounts of the board shall be submitted to the National Assembly and Senate, hence Parliament will have the oversight use of the fund. On item number 5, Madam Honorable Speaker, on whether imported industrial sugar should be exempted from payment of sugar development levy. This proposal was rejected, Madam Speaker, by the committee on the basis that there was no justification to exempt imported industrial sugar from paying the sugar development levy, while all other imported sugars is subject to the levy. Honorable Speaker, on whether growers should be represented in the board of directors of private milling companies, this proposal was too rejected by the committee, since it is illegal to compel private companies to have farmer representatives in their boards. Private companies are private with intentions of making profit, hence should be managed privately. There is also a possible conflict of interest having a farmer sitting in the board of company, as they can easily compromise in favor of the companies at the expense of farmers. The practice of having farmer representatives in boards or private companies was best left as a practice and custom at the discretion of millers, and not compelling legal provisions, as that would contravene Companies Act 2015. Honorable Speaker, on item number 4, on whether to adopt the sugar zones proposed by the Senate or sugar catchment areas proposed by the National Assembly, the committee, Honorable Speaker, adopted the new schedule proposed by the Senate and named it as sugarcane catchment areas instead of sugarcane zones. The regions will be used for purpose of elections and cane management in line with the recommendations of the Sugar Task Force report. Further, Honorable Speaker, sugarcane catchment areas will bring sanity in the sugar industry, as it will bring to an end the cane poaching, which has resulted in losses for millers. This will encourage investments in the sector, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Mediation Committee on the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022, considered the 7 clauses of the bill under mediation and came up with an agreed version of the bill. Honorable Speaker, when you look at the bill, the order paper today, the entire detailed agreed version of the bill is attached on the order paper. Putting into consideration, Honorable Speaker, the principles as guided by my highlights. The Sugar Act will play, Honorable Speaker, as a summary, will play a crucial role in bringing sanity, Honorable Speaker, to the sugar industry and make those who would want to invest into the sector to have a benefit of their investment. Honorable Speaker, I wish to salute and acknowledge and appreciate the office of the speakers and clerks of both houses of parliament for the logistical and technical support accorded to it in the execution of its mandate. That's our committee, Honorable Speaker. And finally, I wish to express my appreciation of the committee and the committee secretariat for their patience, sacrifice, endurance, and commitment to the assignment that enabled committee to complete the task within the stipulated time period. Honorable Speaker, mediation committee has a latitude, 30 days only, and if you extend beyond 30 days, it has consequences And Honorable Speaker, I wish on the onset to really acknowledge my colleagues, led by the chairperson of the Committee on Agriculture, Dr. Mutunga. I want to appreciate you and thank you for your time and input. I wish to appreciate the Honorable Justice Kemei, the Honorable Nabina Abuera, the Honorable John Makali, the Honorable Peter Masara, and the Honorable Walter Wino, who accompanied me, and we were joined into that committee. Honorable Speaker, I also wish to thank our colleagues in the Senate that they equally took time, led by the chairperson of Agriculture, the Honorable Murango, and the entire team, that they took a lot of their time, input, ended up even amending and sitting down to propose on how to amend, on how to write the clauses, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, with those few remarks, I beg to move and request the Honorable Dr. John Mutunga, the MP, to second. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Mutunga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand to second the adoption of the mandated version of the sugar bill, which has taken quite a bit of time to be discussed across the country. Honorable Speaker, this bill is a derivative of a very intensive process of consultation. Consultation occurred at 3 levels. Honorable Speaker, the first level was the generation of the report of the task force. There was a sugar task force report which did its work and presented a report to the immediate former president of the Republic. And this report was adopted, and a task force accosted, rather, enabled to implement this report. Honorable Speaker, the second level of consultation is when we went round to every factory, most of the growing areas, and consulted with the farmers and the other stakeholders, the leaders, the politicians, and the millers, and everyone else, to hear their views on what kind of legislation they would like to have in order to have the industry better managed. And this happened and brought in a lot of information that has been useful. Honorable Speaker, the land level of consultation was the conference, the sugar conference that was held in Kakamega. And at this conference, Honorable Speaker, the report on task force was thoroughly examined, and quite a bit of that report informed the bill as it is now. Honorable Speaker, the mediated version of the bill has been immensely informed by that background, as well as the individuals who come from the sugar growing areas, the honorable members who come from the sugar growing areas, as well as the version of the sugar, the bill itself. There are key aspects of this bill that are worth mentioning, Honorable Speaker, even as I second. The first one is the fact that this bill ensures that the sugar industry is going to be revitalized, ensures that the farmers have got some resources for cane development, ensures that the sugar research and the training institute is being to be revitalized and expanded from the Kenya Agriculture and Livestock Research Organization, and given some resources from the Sugar Development Levy. This money will enable the institute to move on and do the research on sugar. Honorable Speaker, the other key attribute of this particular legislation is the fact that the money for from the Sugar Development Levy has been very carefully shared out, such that the money for support to the board has been given out as 15%. We have some money for the research itself, for the cane development itself, and some money for development of the roads in the areas where sugarcane is grown. Honorable Speaker, this was a contentious issue that took the Senate and the National Assembly to mediate. And the mediated version of this particular aspect is such that we agreed that this money is domiciled at the Kenya Sugar Board and utilized in the counties where sugarcane is being produced in a prorated manner based on the levels of contribution from the various localities or the various regions where sugar is produced, so that we may be able to attend to the key needs of infrastructural improvement. And we it infrastructural specifically, Honorable Speaker, because we would like the roads to be done and the bridges to be done as well, because sometimes if you just leave it as road, some of the other infrastructures may not benefit. Honorable Speaker, the final thing I would like to say as I support is that this bill comes out to basically harness the entire industry. It's looking at the industry from the pre-production all the way to the table. It's looking at how we can curb importation of sugar, how we can produce enough sugar for this country and even sell in the region. It has taken all aspects into consideration, and therefore we believe we have mediated a very good legislation for this country. Honorable Speaker, I do second.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Honorable members, I now propose the question that pursuant to provisions of Article 1132 of the Constitution and Standing Order 153, this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 16th October 2024, and approves the mediated version of the Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2022. A few members. I'll start with the Honorable Onyango Oyo, member for Muhoroni.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to share this very interesting development with my colleagues. As all of you are aware, my constituency is the heart and soul of sugarcane milling, growing and milling. And this development can either add a lot of value to my constituents or hurt them. I want to pay tribute to the committee in Parliament because most of the issues we are canvassing here, we successfully canvassed them here and passed them, save for a few contentious issues that remained. I will talk about zoning, which is the elephant in the house. It's in the interest of farmers, the farmers I lead, that there is no zoning, because they grow sugarcane with their own efforts. And it's only imperative that when it comes to time of harvesting, they should be given freedom to sell to the best miller, who has the capacity to help them in harvesting, in transporting the cane to the mill and paying them in good time. We have had serious problems with certain millers who want to restrict. They want to restrict the farmers in my constituency. And they're capitalizing on the fact that the government millers are semi-dysfunctional. And they want to capitalize on the plight of the farmers because of dysfunctioning of the factories, and they offer themselves as the only people who have solution, and they want to restrict the farmers to supply sugarcane to them. When they have no capacity, there's very little they do to help the farmers develop. They cannot do the roads. There is anything they're doing that adds value to the farmers. So this thing called zoning is something that my farmers really detest. I have seen the board and the committee, the mediation committee, has tried to deal with it, but there are lots of circumlocutions. My friend told me that a rose by a name is called a rose. I have seen a lot of circumlocution. We want this thing to be addressed very well so that farmers have something called sokohuru. A farmer can sell his ready unless, like it has been addressed here, there is evidence that the farmer took loan from a miller to develop his farm, got some fertilizers. The miller had something he had deposited when the deal was taking place. But when a miller, like when a farmer, like the farmers in my constituency, has developed the plant or guided by himself, he should be given permission to sell to whoever he wants. And any circumlocution that wants to curtail the freedom of a farmer is not very good for us, and I've seen semblance of it in this report.
What is out of order, Honorable Chairman? You know when you show your hand up, or I can't see your card, but I can see your hand is up. Chair, what is out of order?
It's not out of information.
You want to give, you have a point of information?
Information, does he want to be informed?
No. I would like to find out from him whether he wants to be informed.
Okay.
Do you want to be informed by the chair? You would like you? Okay. Proceed, Chairman.
Honourable Speaker, I would like to refer the honourable member to the mandated version of the bill. Honourable Speaker, that was one of the contentious issues. We could not possibly lock farmers to specific factories. We refused. That is not there. What you have done is a minimum of 3 factories in a catchment area. That is what the bill says. So if all the 3 fail, then there's a serious problem in the entire industry. Honourable Speaker, the other thing we introduced is that these catchment areas are also considered as electoral colleges. So elections will be done within the catchment area in terms of representation in the board. Again, Honourable Speaker, we also agreed that the representation within an electoral area is going to be rotational by county, so that if it is Kisumu produces a representative this season, the next season is somebody comes from Kericho, the other season somebody comes from another county, as long as they're in the same area, so that we can also introduce equity. So that issue has been completely, thoroughly discussed and dealt out with.
Honorable Koyo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The second issue I wanted to speak to is about the reconstitution of Sugar Board. During the days of the Sugar Board, Red Sugar Board was very active. The farmers were doing very good business, and they were really harnessing their plants and sugarcane business. But when the Sugar Board was killed, and an anonymous body called Alpha came that has very little interest in what the farmers, the sugarcane farmers are doing, we have really felt the brunt. So I will support this, and I think the body, the amendment committee has done very well. They have introduced the Sugar Board as per our aspiration, and they have spelled out the zones for this purpose, which initially I was not happy about it, but I've seen the rotational basis. I think this will bring in add some value. Then I would like to talk about the 50% levy. You know, during the Sugar Board, there were monies that were deducted for the purpose of improving infrastructural development in various sugar catchment areas. A lot of monies were collected, but immediately with the disbandment of Sugar Board, these monies were rerouted to the county governments in form of cess. I don't know what happens in other, because I don't come from Nandi, they were my neighbors. But in Kisumu, all the monies that have been invested, that accrue from this deduction, have not benefited the farmer. We don't even know how much it is, what it's doing, who is keeping it, and for what purpose. So we hope that this identification, now that we have identity, we know the money is going to go to Sugar Board, that it will be made use of for the benefit of the farmer. But our fear is that when Sugar Board had the money before, they assisted companies to buy road-making equipment. A serious company in my constituency.
There's a point of order from the Honorable Emmanuel Wangwe.
Yes.
It's not a point of order, it's just to inform my very good friend. We walked the journey together, if he can allow me to inform
Do you want to be informed? You are being over-informed.
Thank you. I think it's just a matter of correction. he has mentioned that the percentage allowed, now that we are on public media, they might take it as a true fact. It's not 50%, it's 15% of SDL.
So you only have 2 minutes remaining, but honorable members, remember, you are debating the mediated version.
Yes.
So if you are not conversant with the mediated version, you may find yourself taking us back to the initial bill. You have 2 minutes to conclude, Honorable Koyo.
I've closed in on just 3 issues on the mediation version. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I've zeroed in on just 3 issues. I said the 15% was not 50%. I said the 15% initially when it was held by Sugar Board, it was gave consideration to the industries to help develop road network for sugarcane, for purpose of delivering sugarcane, developing and delivering sugarcane harvest. But many of these equipment that were bought never benefited the workers. We hope this time they will be serious and we will ensure that this serves the interest of the farmers. Otherwise, I want to support the mediation bill as constituted by the committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Koyo. The Honorable Julius Meli, member for Tinderet.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support this bill, and I want to laud the sponsor of the bill, Honorable Wangwe, and the chair of the committee, Honorable member for Tigania West. Honorable Speaker, this is a bill that we've really waited for long as representative of farmers in the sugar growing areas, and more importantly as farmers, and at the same time as the sugar industry in general. Honorable Speaker, this bill has tried to actually bring sanity in the sector, and I want to say that as the standing orders allow, I shall be proposing a few amendments to it, Honorable Wangwe, especially on the issue of it is mediated version. It's mediated version.
Chair.
Yes, I'm guided, Madam Speaker. I'm guided. I'm guided on that.
You cannot do it
at
this time.
I'm guided on that.
But I hope you are not going to engage the chair education. Yes. You already said that
he's out of order.
What is out of order?
Is it in order for Honorable Meli, a senior member of this House and a ranking member, to indicate that he is proposing amendment on a mediated version of the bill? I think he's completely out of order. And he had started by saying he's supporting
David
the bill.
Kiplangat, member for Soy. I was listening very keenly to the chair education, and I know that he has a lot of experience, and he has no intention of bringing amendments. He already made comments on that subject, and now we move on.
Yes. It is Honorable David who actually doesn't understand the issues at play. He's excited on the issue. Honorable Speaker, there are a number of issues which I want to put to the attention of members. One is the issue of the infrastructure fund. It is in the considered opinion of farmers and all the stakeholders that the 15%, and I know this levy is actually meant to support sugar growing. When you look at 15%, it has actually been put to the use for infrastructure alone. And I would request that maybe the mover will actually inform me and inform the country how much does it go to cane development? How much does it, what percentage goes to the cane development? What percentage goes to other areas within the sugar growing, so that you actually give us the whole percentage from 100, how it is being distributed through. Honorable Speaker, we also have this issue of the miller, contracting a miller outside the region to come and carry the crop outside that particular miller's area or catchment area. It is quite contentious, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, because another miller cannot contract another miller. In respect, in where we grow cane, there are certain millers or mills that have actually gone under. A good example is Miwani. Miwani can't contract maybe an existing company to take up its crop or a farmer's crop within that particular region. It could be proper if a miller has gone under, the farmers be contracted afresh. And for those farmers who are not contracted afresh, let them be allowed to move to those areas that they can be able to sell their crop. Madam Speaker, the issue of catchment area. I come from a county that grows sugar, and I've been convinced to some extent by the mover that it is only in my county where it is split into two, the northern part of the county and the southern part of the county, where I come from. I don't know if this will really disenfranchise the farmers in that particular region, because out of all the catchment areas, it is only this county of all the sugar growing regions that has been
but that the whole House would then be determining the matter. It then follows, Mr. Speaker, sir, that the provisions of Article 145(6) would not be applicable. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the same Gazette notice, you did gazette the 16th and 17th of October to be the days assigned for the hearing and determination of the motion that is before you. That said, Mr. Speaker, sir, we appreciate the place of fair hearing and an opportunity to be accorded the chance and the facilities to be able to defend one's self in a motion such as this. Mr. Speaker, I would want to add that the opportunity to be heard does not have to be oral. The rules of this House permit that parties appearing could elect to be represented, they could elect to come in person, they could file documents. Mr. Speaker, sir, His Excellency, the Deputy President, has participated robustly in the proceedings, both before the National Assembly, where they filed a very, very detailed replying affidavit and a response. Mr. Speaker, sir, if my memory serves me right, let me just make a quick reference. Before the National Assembly, His Excellency, the President, did file a response dated the 8th of October 2024. When the proceedings before this House began, His Excellency, the President, the Deputy President, again filed a very robust response dated the 12th of October 2024. Mr. Speaker, sir, up to this point in time, His Excellency, the Deputy President, together with his team, have had a beautiful opportunity to present their case. they have had an opportunity to cross-examine in great detail all the witnesses that we presented before this House. If anything, Mr. Speaker, sir, if any prejudice were to be occasioned in the course of this, hearing this matter, that prejudice would be on us, because our expectation would be that His Excellency the President would be able to attend and avail an opportunity for the National Assembly to cross-examine him. Mr. Speaker, sir, taking into account the circumstances that we find ourselves in, having also very keenly heard learned senior counsel speak, matters held are not matters to be taken lightly. On the same tone, Mr. Speaker, sir, matters held cannot be given timelines. There cannot be certainty that if an adjournment were to be given even for 1 week, then there is clarity and certainty that we'll be able to proceed on that assigned day. Mr. Speaker, sir, we would urge that we borrow practice that has accorded to other similar organs created by the Constitution. I have the courts of law in mind. Mr. Speaker, sir, because I earlier on submitted that Article 50 provides for an opportunity, provides for the right to fair hearing, and that fair hearing does not necessarily have to be oral, we have had practice in our Supreme Court where dealing with some of the most important decisions of our lifetimes, including decisions arising from presidential elections, have, in all the elections that we have had parties file submissions and their documents, and that their advocates have had an opportunity to appear before the courts to highlight those documents and pleadings that have been filed. In this occasion, because His Excellency, the Deputy President, has had an opportunity to present all the material that he ought to or he wanted to present, and also had the opportunity to cross-examine all the witnesses that he wanted to cross-examine, all that is left on their side is highlighting. On our part, Mr. Speaker, sir, the part of the National Assembly, so that then we are able to give progress to this matter, we are willing to take the painful decision to forego the cross-examination of His Excellency, the Deputy President, and only proceed with highlighting submissions in relation to the documents that we have filed before this House. It is our humble view that no prejudice would have been occasioned to His Excellency, the Deputy President. Mr. Speaker, sir, we urge that if I heard my learned senior colleague, Mr. Paul Mwite, senior counsel, well, he seemed to have been imploring this House to consider adjourning. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me end by drawing the attention of this court to Rule 12 of the proceedings, the rules governing the proceedings currently underway. Mr. Speaker, sir, Rule 12 of those rules dictates that once the hearing has commenced, it shall proceed up to the end. It does not provide for an option for the House to adjourn. If that is the dictate, Mr. Speaker, sir, of the rules governing the proceedings before this House, we urge that being a country, being an organ of a constitution that is that is controlled by the rule of law and the Constitution, you direct that we proceed with the hearing as had been planned. I am most obliged. Mr. Speaker, sir, just before I leave the ground, maybe I would want to invite my leader, Mr. Honorable James Orengo, Senior Counsel, to also just add one word before you give your directions. I'm most obliged.
Mr. Speaker, just briefly, in these proceedings, we are governed by Article 145. And there is a very unique provision in Article 145 that you don't find in legislations to do with even litigation in the courts. But because the makers of this constitution knew that these proceedings are time-bound, there is under Article 145, sub-article 5, a very important provision. And I think that article is not there for cosmetic value. That article is there to deal with a situation like we find ourselves in, because the makers of this constitution knew that when processes are time-bound, there must be a safety valve. Article 145, sub-article 5, which applies mutatis mutandis in relation to the removal from office by way of impeachment of the deputy president, states as follows. The president, and for that matter, it should be read, the deputy president shall have the right to appear and be represented before the special committee during its investigation. Now, the point that I want to make, that not in a lot of legislation you find the right to be represented highlighted, because the deputy president can elect to be represented either by his advocate or by him appearing in person, or having both the deputy president and his advocate to appear. Now, I want to put before the Senate, because a lot of you have this problem a lot of time during the elections. If, in accordance with the election law, you are required to subscribe your nomination papers on a certain day, and you fail it, you're running for president or deputy president, and you're told that you must present your nomination papers on a certain day, as it is there in the law, would you feign sickness and fail to represent your nomination papers on that particular day? And I can tell you, if you fail to do so, the law will not give you any accommodation. You'll be out, and there are a lot of decisions on this matter. I want to talk to this Senate very frankly, that Senior Counsel Mwite was basically giving evidence. He has not told us where, or if he has told us the medical institution where the deputy president is. But for the deputy president to fail to bring evidence, credible evidence before the House that has been admitted, even that evidence that has been admitted to a medical institution, we don't have it. We will rely on the evidence from my senior counsel, Paul Mwite. That is evidence. But in practice, I can say without a fear of contradiction, there are many times where people are represented in medical documents, and later on they've been found to be fake, if I may use that word. I think the thing that the deputy president should have done, we should have had one of the doctors here, at least to tell us about his admission and about his condition, because up to 1:15, the deputy president was here. He was not evacuated from here in an ambulance. And if I can give evidence from the bar, he went to his office, and again, there's no evidence that he was evacuated in an ambulance. He went to Karen Hospital in himself to check at the hospital. So I think our constitutional duty is to live by what the Constitution requires of us. The greatest prejudice, for me, I was looking forward to cross-examine the deputy president. But unfortunately, the story that has been told does not include cross-examination of the evidence of the deputy president, which is on record. But because we are time-bound, and as my London friend Eric Gumba said, we are prepared to go by the evidence in record. The prejudice is to us. The sickness of the deputy president is affecting us more because we would want to cross-examine him, but he has evidence in record which we cannot test by the way of cross-examination. And there's no assurance that on Tuesday, the deputy president would be here. Finally, we can also say from here that there are many cases that have been filed all over, including in Malindi today, that has to do with the proceedings that are going on here. So I am in a position to say that this health condition in which the deputy president is, and I sympathize, may be opportunistic in the absence of medical evidence from a doctor. It may be opportunistic. And I saw him when he came in. I'm not a doctor, but there was nothing to suggest that he was in the condition that Honorable Counsel has been talking about. So do the senators now turn into a jury to make a decision on the basis of evidence presented from the bar by senior counsel without no documentary proof of where the deputy president is and what ailments is suffering for? I think the more important duty for this Senate is to comply with the Constitution. And we urge you to comply with the Constitution and proceed with the hearing of this impeachment proceedings. Thank you. Senior Counsel Paul Mwite.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, honorable senators, we all live in Kenya, and I would like to make this submission. These gadgets we have here capture every word uttered accurately, so that if I was found tomorrow to have lied to these senators, sanctions can be brought on me. And I would have thought that that fear of telling a lie to this honorable Senate, to me, is more powerful than even bringing a medical report. We've had many medical reports generated outside hospitals. We see them in courts almost on a daily basis. Mheshimiwa Speaker, you will remember the rush that was there when I was asking to be given up to 5 p.m. And it was a rush. Was I to fail to come back to this honorable house at 5 p.m., waiting for a medical report when the doctors there are busy attending to their patient, the deputy president? Medical reports I can bring. If I've told lies, that is something that can be established. And my learned friend, Mheshimiwa Honorable Orengo, talks about giving evidence from the bar. When I was learning, they are seated down when he's giving evidence from the bar about some cases filed in Malindi that I'm not aware of. Perhaps he should have given us a copy of that. Mheshimiwa Speaker, Article 145, Sub-Article 6 is clear, and I do not want to take time of this August House, Senate. Going back to it, it applies, and I would plead with you and with honorable senators to give us until Tuesday to see whether the deputy president will be well enough. No one decides when to get sick and when not to get sick. I am sure many honorable senators here will have a story of their shock because of having spent an evening with somebody, then the following day they hear that the person is gone. Yet that person was looking good and healthy. Let's be humane. Let's be compassionate. Tuwe na utu kidogo. Tuesday, the heavens are not falling down to join with the earth. I thank you, Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Senior Counsel, Paul Mwite. There is a hypothetical question that was raised by Senior Counsel Orengo. Assuming, and just an assumption, assuming the Senate is inclined to grant your client up to Tuesday, and by Tuesday, your client is unable to attend Senate, what then will be the way forward?
Mheshimiwa Speaker, I would submit the best thing is for this honorable House, honorable Senate, to make a decision on facts rather than assuming what may or may not happen. Point number one. Point number two, Mheshimiwa Speaker, is the importance of honorable senators seeing with their own eyes how a witness with his stance cross-examination. There are many times when different impressions will be given by written documents And yet, when cross-examination takes place, individuals change their minds. One can only make a decision on whether this witness is believable or not believable when they see his demeanor in person. So there is nothing to replace orality through cross-examination. There are many witnesses whose statements will be impressive, and yet when they begin to give evidence orally, that impression changes completely on the mind of the jury. The deputy president wishes to subject himself to cross-examination, wishes under oath to deal with the evidence given adverse to him by witnesses here, so that honorable senators can have an opportunity of making a decision. Is it the deputy president we shall believe, or is it those other witnesses? That opportunity can only come through orality and through cross-examination. So what this House elects to do, that decision, this House, Mheshimiwa Speaker, they will make on Tuesday. I am always an optimist. So I am living in the belief that the doctors may be able to put whatever is wrong with the deputy president back in place so that he can be here on Tuesday, Mr. Speaker. If he's not here, let that decision of what this honorable Senate will then do be made on Tuesday. That is a humane way of going about a matter about no one had control of. I thank you.
Now, honorable senators, having listened to the counsel for the deputy president, as well as the counsel for the National Assembly, I need to consider those arguments and give my considered ruling in this matter. I will therefore suspend for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and I'll be back.
All right.
You are watching live pictures from the floor of the Senate, where the House has briefly adjourned. The Speaker of the Senate is expected to come back and give a ruling on the way forward. The council representing the Deputy President has requested that the team be given until Tuesday so that the Deputy President can be given the opportunity to be heard before the Senate takes a decision on the impeachment motion that was forwarded to the Senate by the National Assembly. The National Assembly, through its council, has submitted to the Senate that the evidence that was adduced by the Deputy President in writing be considered in this matter. The National Assembly, also through its legal counsel, has also told the Senate that it is willing to forego the cross-examination of the Deputy President, who was to appear as the sole witness in this historic trial in the Senate. The National Assembly did forward to this House 11 grounds of impeachment, which it believes that it has presented enough evidence to warrant the impeachment of the Deputy President. Among the grounds that the National Assembly did advance is the gross violation of Article 10, Sub-Article 2A of the Constitution, and B, and C, Article 27, Sub-Article 4, Article 73, Sub-Article 1A, and Article 2B of the Constitution. The National Assembly, in its submission during this trial, did say that the matter of constitutional compliance, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, who is the principal assistant to the President of the Republic of Kenya, is required to promote constitutional core values such as peace and unity of all Kenyans in the context of ethnic, cultural, and religious diversity, patriotism, national unity, rule of law, democracy, and participation of the people, equity, social justice, inclusiveness, equality, human rights, non-discrimination and protection of the marginalized, and good governance. It will also respect and uphold representation of Kenya's multi-ethnic and culturally diverse society through the promotion of equality and affording equal opportunities to all Kenyans and appointments to the public service and allocation of public resources, and to promote and implement public policy decisions that do not discriminate against any Kenyan based on conscience, ethnic or social origin, language, or birth. In its argument, the National Assembly said that on diverse dates throughout the last 2 years, His Excellency the Deputy President has persistently made utterances threatening to discriminate, exclude and unlawfully deny sections of the people of Kenya and regions of the Republic of Kenya equal opportunities for public service appointments and allocation of public resources. Besides, the utterances are highly inflammatory and insightful and significantly undermine national unity and the peaceful coexistence of Kenya's diverse communities. In forwarding its evidence to the Senate for the purpose of this trial, the National Assembly did illustrate instances where it believes the deputy president has been on record committing the said violations. Ground 2, gross violation of Article 147, Sub-Article 1, and Article 152, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution. The National Assembly states that Article 147, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution provides that the Deputy President shall be the principal assistant of the President and shall deputize for the President in the execution of the President's functions. In addition, Article 152, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution states that the Deputy President is a member of the Cabinet. The National Assembly argues that on various dates throughout the last 2 years, His Excellency the Deputy President undermined the President and the Cabinet and the effective discharge of the national government's executive mandate by making unilateral public statements that, when consistent with policy positions collectively adopted by the government. Under this charge, the National Assembly has moved to illustrate instances and occasions in which it deems the Deputy President to have committed this offense, that on or around 30th of April 2024, the Cabinet passed a resolution for the evacuation of people residing along the Nairobi River. Shortly after that, His Excellency the Deputy President made a public statement opposing the Nairobi River riparian evacuation orders, which the National Assembly argues that the Cabinet had sanctioned for public safety and climate change mitigation. His Excellency the Deputy President made contradictory public statements despite being a member of the Cabinet and being assigned the function of superintending the Nairobi River riparian evacuation order. In addition, the National Assembly argues that His Excellency the Deputy President has on several occasions throughout the last 2 years made public statements contradicting the President on critical matters of governance and the exercise of the President's functions as a symbol of national unity. It has also tried to illustrate that in March 2023, at a public forum in the Nyanza region, the President said Kenya belongs to all, notwithstanding how people voted in 2022 general elections, and that he would ensure the government does not discriminate against anyone. However, His Excellency the Deputy President, speaking after the President at another public forum, contradicted him by saying that Kenya is a company in which the provision of government services is based on shares. That His Excellency the Deputy President has made numerous other utterances at public forums where he publicly restates the division narrative that Kenya is a company in which the rights of citizens are based on shares determined by how various ethnic communities voted in the 2022 general election. The National Assembly argues that the Deputy President's unilateral, divisive, and insightful public statements are impeachable offences to the extent that they undermine the effective discharge of the national government's executive mandate, that they violate the doctrine of collective responsibility, and that they are equivalent to insubordination of the President, which is incompatible with his constitutional status as the principal assistant to the President of the Republic of Kenya. Ground 3, gross violation of Article 6, Sub-Article 2, Article 10, Sub-Article 2A, Article 174, Article 186, Sub-Article 1, Article 189, Sub-Article 1, and the fourth schedule to the Constitution. This, quote-unquote, undermining devolution. The National Assembly, in its submission in this trial, argues that Article 10, Sub-Article 2A of the Constitution provides that devolution is a fundamental national value and principle of governance. In addition, Article 6, Sub-Article 2 of the Constitution provides that government at the county and national levels are distinct and interdependent and shall conduct their mutual relations based on consultation and cooperation. These provisions, the National Assembly argues, that are supplemented by Article 189, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution, which provides that governments at each level shall perform and exercise their powers in a matter that respects the functional and institutional integrity of government at the other level. Under paragraph 7A of Part 2 of the fourth schedule to the Constitution, county governments are responsible for trade development and markets as an exclusive function. Moreover, the Deputy President chairs the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council, which the National Assembly argues is an essential organ for consultation between the two levels of government. In its submission before the Senate, the National Assembly, through its legal representatives, said that on or around 20th September 2024, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, recklessly unmindful of the high calling and dignified status of the office of the Deputy President of the Republic, unlawfully interfered with the running of Nairobi City County Government by holding a public rally in which he incited citizens against lawful directives of the Nairobi City County Government on the planning and the location of markets. Further, the National Assembly argues that His Excellency, the Deputy President, publicly disparaged the leadership of the Nairobi City County Government and its decisions. Moreover, the Deputy President has interfered with the proper discharge of county government's constitutional functions regarding alcohol and control and regulations. His Excellency, the Deputy President's insightful and demeaning public statements and conduct are impeachable offences to the extent that they undermine devolution. This is according to the submission by the National Assembly, and that they undercut the functional and institutional integrity of county governments. They unjustifiably vilify and ridicule the leadership of county governments, especially the Nairobi City County Government. Consequently, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, according to the National Assembly, has grossly violated Article 6, Sub-Article 2, Article 10, Sub-Article 2A, Article 174, Article 186, Sub-Article 1, and Article 189, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution as read with the fourth schedule to the Constitution. Ground 4, the National Assembly accuses the Deputy President of gross violation of Article 160, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution, which talks about the undermining of institutional and decisional independence of judges. In its submission, the National Assembly argues that Article 160, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution provides that the judiciary shall be subject only to this Constitution and the law, and shall not be subject to the control or direction of any person or authority. Many international law instruments, treaties, and principles require the guarantee of the judiciary's independence and require all government officers and institutions to respect and observe it. In 2023, His Excellency Gachagua, according to the National Assembly, recklessly and mindful of the high calling and dignified status of the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, and the need to respect, protect, and uphold the independence of the judiciary, made a scathing public attack against the Honorable Lady Justice Esther Maina, Judge of the High Court of Kenya, and falsely threatened to file a petition for the removal of the said judge in gross violation of Article 160, Sub-Article 5 of the Constitution. The Honorable Judge, according to the National Assembly, had presided over a case in which His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua was a party and had, in the lawful performance of a judicial function, ordered His Excellency the Deputy President to forfeit to the state the sum of 200 million shillings, which she had found to be proceeds of corruption and money laundering. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua's public attacks, according to the National Assembly, are impeachable offences to the extent that they undermine the functional and decisional independence of judges. If you're just joining us, these are live pictures from the Senate chambers, where the trial has taken a short break. The Speaker has gone to draw a ruling on the way forward for this trial, where the Deputy President has been unable to appear to take to the witness stand. His legal representative, led by Senior Counsel Paul Muite, has asked the Senate to give the Deputy President until Tuesday next week, and thereafter make a decision on the way forward. The National Assembly, through its legal representatives, led by Senior Counsel James Orengo, urged the Senate to consider the evidence that has already been forwarded by the Deputy